Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. So today's video is more of like a story time, but not really. It's pretty much why I quit Ulta twice. Twice, you've heard that right. And you're probably reading the title and you're like, what? Wait, twice? Like, what? So here is the story. In 2016, I moved from New York to South Carolina. That's where my southern home is. I'm currently in it right now. And of course, packing up and moving, you're moving to a different state, you need to get a job. So I just graduated community college and really did not know what to do, and I really needed the job. So I saw that Ulta in my local mall was hiring for beauty advisors. So I applied online, heard back from like a week from the manager and, well, the GM. There's multiple managers in Ulta, but the GM is the one that contacted me saying that she wanted me to come in and interview. So I did the interview. She liked me, I liked her, we got along pretty well. She was just asking me about previous job experiences, what my aspirations are in life, blah, 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 blah. She pretty much gave me the job on the spot. What should have been a red flag in the beginning was that she hired me on the spot, but I didn't start working until like a month later. After the interview, she said that she would contact me on when we could do the training and all that stuff. And after about a week, I didn't hear anything. So I called the store and asking to speak to her. She wasn't available, but they said that if I just leave my name and my phone number, she can contact me back. So I did that. Another week goes by and I haven't heard anything. And again, called the store. Then she ends up being away on vacation. Another week goes by. I decide to go to the store with my mom. And I see her and I'm like, oh, hey, like, I'm just following up like about training and all that stuff. And she looked at me like a deer in headlights. She did not know or remember who I was until I mentioned it. She was like, oh, I forgot that I hired you. What? Meanwhile, this woman had to have been in her 50s, so she was young. I'm just like, wow, like, and she did seem that she did have a screw loose, but still, like, that's just not right. You don't do that to somebody. You hire them, you get their hopes up, and you know, you don't hear from them, and then you confront them and they forget about you. Like, that's not right. Like, so then the next week, well, no, a couple days later, she calls me and says that she wants to start training me the following week. I'm like, yeah, okay, that's fine. I go in, I do the training and all that stuff, and met all the beauty advisors, prestige beauty advisors, salon, other managers, and we all got along pretty well. Then we had our first meeting, like store meeting, and we met up with 3 different stores. Because where I am in South Carolina, there's 3 locations, all within 25 miles of each other. So we all had this big group meeting, so I got to meet other employees from different locations, and it was good because sometimes you would never know if you're going to have to be called to go into that other location or whatever. So my first week, they gave me good hours. I was part-time, but they started me off with 24 hours a week, and then it started slowly graduating up to like 30. And then it was pretty steady for about, I want to say about a couple months in. Then I actually had to request time off. One of my friend's little sisters was graduating high school, and I was really, really close with her. I'm still close to her now, but I wanted to surprise her because she just lost their mom, and it was important for me to be there. But I didn't want to give them that excuse because I didn't want them to say, like, I didn't want them to pretty much reject it. And then so I told them that my cousin had her wedding, which she was engaged, but her wedding wasn't at the time. So I just said, hey, I have to go, my cousin is getting married, is there a way that I could just put in my time off? And this was like about maybe like 3 weeks before I had to leave, and they're like, yeah, sure, no problem. So I put in the time off request, and then when I put in the time off request, the management just completely changed. The GM that hired me was no longer there. The assistant manager was there, and she was sweet, and there was another manager under her, and she was not the nicest manager. Every time I would have to go into a shift and she was working that day, she was pretty much treating me like a slave. I couldn't do what I was normally doing. She pretty much talked down to me and all that stuff. And then after a while, I did complain to the temporary GM. We got a temporary GM from another city, but she was not part of the region that my Ulta was in. So she came in and I explained to her what was going on, blah, 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 blah. And she talked to her. Pretty much, this manager told the temporary GM that I was lying and that I wanted to just create some drama. Meanwhile, this bitch was the most dramatic person I have ever met in my entire life. She would always be calling out sick as well, and she really didn't deserve to be manager. The temporary GM confronts me about it and I tell her, you know, this is not true. You know, I'm not that type of person. The manager that did not like me convinced the temporary GM that I was not good enough. So they started giving me less hours and less hours and less hours. At this point, I wasn't going to school or anything and I wasn't occupying my time. So I was thinking, oh, let me just apply to aesthetic school. So once I told them my aspirations, they would literally put me on for 10 hours per week and then would call me to come in at other times, which made no sense. I mean, I get it, like someone doesn't have to come in, but you don't give me 10 hours a week with the idea of you wanting to give me more hours anyway. I ended up going to New York and I went to surprise my best friend's sister. And then I was there for 3 days and I ended up going to looking at an aesthetic school back in New York, because at the time I also really wasn't very happy in South Carolina. I was really depressed. I went into a serious depression. So being there wasn't the best, and then being surrounded by people that were not nice to me made me feel even worse. So I went up to the school and they said that I got in, all that stuff, and just like fill out this information and we'll see you in July. And at this point it was the end of June and the classes were starting in mid-July. So I fly back to South Carolina and I meet the assistant manager, the really nice assistant manager. And I told her, hey, like I'm giving in my 2 weeks. I'm going back to New York. I got accepted into an aesthetic school up there. And she's like, well, why don't you just go to aesthetic school down here? Like, what's the point of going to New York, blah, 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 blah. And I said, to be honest, the schools in New York are much better than in South Carolina. And I can get better jobs up in New York. After the last 2 weeks, it was, it was just normal, still getting treated the same. And then once my 2 weeks was done, I was home, I was packing. I was driving up to New York the following couple of days and I get a call from the bitchy manager saying, can you come in? I'm like, no, I gave him my 2 weeks. I already finished my last shift. I'm not coming in. And this bitch threw a bitch fit, I'm telling you. She sounded like a kid when a parent says no and they kick their legs and they're screaming. That's what she reacted like. That's what she sounded like on the phone. And I hang up on her. Then the temporary GM calls me and she was like, so I heard that we're gonna call the bitch Tiffany. So the temporary GM says, oh, Tiffany said that you hung up on her abruptly because she asked you to come into work and you weren't happy about it. So I told the temporary GM we'll call her Emma. So I said to Emma, Emma, I already worked my last shift. I gave him my 2 weeks notice 2 weeks ago. I worked my last shift already. I'm not coming in. I'm moving back to New York in a couple of days. And I hang up. Then Emma calls me back again. And she said, I'm sorry, blah, 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 but we can really use the help today. Like, can you just come in at all? And I said, I can't. What is with you people? I cannot come in. I said to her respectfully, I'm like, I can't, I don't have time to. I already worked my last shift. I wanted to end on a good note with you guys, but the fact that, you're not paying attention to me as your employee and an employee that respectfully gave their 2 weeks notice. Like, I'm not an employee that just doesn't show up to work. I literally gave you the notice. You knew it was my last day, the day before, like a couple days before, whatever. And she was like, I'm just really upset that we're losing you, blah, 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 blah. Like, if you ever want to work for the company again, you can, because I'm not pretty much blacklisting you or anything like that. Like, if you want to work for the company again, you're more than welcome to. And if you ever decide to move back to South Carolina and you need a job, you always have a place here. So that's how it ended, the South Carolina location. With that location, I do go to it I still go in there sometimes to buy little bits and pieces. But as far as I can see, none of the people that I work there anymore. And I feel like the management there is just so much better as it is. It's so much better now than it was then. But like I said, I only go in there to get like little bits and pieces that I know I need, or if I need to really go, then I just go to one of the other locations. That's what I do regarding South Carolina. So now I'm going to talk about the New York location. New York location was different, totally different experience. So I just graduated aesthetic school and I got my license in February 2017. I wait for it to come in the mail, it comes in the mail, and I'm just starting to look at jobs. And I realized that Ulta was hiring and there was a new one in the town that I live in. And I was like, okay, so I said, why not just apply? You know, they may not hire me because, you know, I'm just brand new out of school, blah, 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 blah. But I just apply, and I realized that they use the same products that I used in school. So I was like, oh, okay, this is perfect. I can expand my education on that brand because of the different products and stuff like that. So I did that. And in a couple of days, I get a call from the salon manager. And the salon manager is very, very nice. I still talk to her occasionally. I talk to her on Instagram. Like, I never had a problem with this manager. She was very encouraging. So we just met up and we just pretty much just had a conversation. Like, she didn't really interview me, but we just had a nice conversation. And she says she liked my energy and she liked that I worked at Ulta before, but she says it's a much different experience than working as a beauty advisor because you will be in the salon. So I was like, okay, great. And training was better, was so much easier. I had to actually perform a practical on a model, so I brought in a model, and one of the assistant managers comes in and is watching me because the salon manager couldn't make it. She liked my work, I liked her. So then I immediately start. I hear back and saying, you're gonna work on this date. You're gonna start this date. So I get in there, we do the information again. I still have the same numbers, same codes, whatever. They were telling me the benefits of working in the salon. So if you just work in Ulta, you get 20% off store discount, which you can buy anything in the store. And if you work in the salon, you don't pay for salon treatments. But if you do work if you're a beauty advisor, working a clean neat counter, Lancome, all that stuff, if you're on the floor, then you get 50% off of salon. So I thought that was really cool, you know, like working in a salon, you get that, you don't have to pay for any services in the salon and you still get your 20% off discount, which I thought that was pretty nice. So I start work and it's like I said before, it's a new Ulta. It's brand new, freshly built, so it was kind of slow. And I started getting some clients. They started booking me and booking me and booking me. And then I actually met one of my good friends there. She was a hairstylist there. And then everything was going well. And then they hired a hairstylist to be the new salon manager because the salon manager that hired me quit. So they had a new salon manager and it was one of the hairstylists, and me and her got along pretty well when she was a hairstylist. She was very positive, upbeat, and this was not my friend that was a hairstylist. This was another person, so we're gonna call her Nicole. So Nicole, when she became salon manager, things started looking very, very different. Meaning, became very narcissistic, very nasty. She wasn't booking me as much, and anything she would book me, she would book wrong. She also did not confirm any of my appointments for me when I was not working, and she pretty much just left me to do anything and everything. And when I was busy, so I couldn't really do anything. At one point, she calls me into the side of the salon to talk privately and she said that my room was messy. Meanwhile, my room was not messy. I keep it clean. I keep it up to state requirements. It's always clean. There's no dust, nothing like that. Sheets are always fresh. Laundry's always done. I just think she needed to find something to complain about and prove how much higher authority she had. And I said to her, I'm like, you see me clean my room constantly. You know, you're totally making up a lie. She goes, well, the company doesn't like it. The CEO came in and doesn't like it. You have to do this and this. I'm like, the CEO? Like, I think she would. It turned out that Nicole was lying about that and being really bitchy that day. She was lying about it because I talked to the GM of the store, and we're gonna call her Grace. So I told Grace what happened, and she goes, what? She goes, they never said that. Like, that's, no, like, you're doing fine. I think she's just having a horrible day. So after once I told Grace, she told Nicole, and then Nicole just started becoming a bitch, and then she pretty much canceled all of my appointments for that day, saying, I'm tired of you, you're going home. What? You're tired of me? So you canceled all of my bookings? And I was fully booked. I had back to back to back to back. And I said, so you're canceling all of my bookings? Okay, I'm like, you're canceling all of my clientele, all my bookings, so I don't make money. And I said, and you're also hurting the salon itself because they lost a lot of money. Who does that? And then after that, she kept calling me on my shifts like a couple hours in, saying, you don't have anybody, so you just stay home, blah, 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 blah. And thank God I had another job at the time too, because if I just quit my other job and then just kept this, I would be pretty much living on the streets. I just got sick and tired of it. So I go in and it's a fully booked day. Like, she didn't, and Nicole did not touch my schedule, and I was very, very happy about it. Nicole was busy working on a client, so I see Grace. So I pulled Grace aside. I pulled her into my room and I said, Grace, like, I'm sorry to say this, but I got another job and I need to put in my 2 weeks because clearly this is not working out. I like to be busy, and this is not right what Nicole is doing to me. So she's like, oh, that's fine, blah, 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 blah. Oh, Piggy. That's my dog. Hi. I know you hear Gabby. So I give it my 2 weeks and it was completely fine. I think Nicole was kind of happy. That's my story on how I quit Ulta twice. If you like it, please hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.